Let me ask you about this business with the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals and why that is so significant, not just for Texas, but for the country.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. It is, in my opinion, more important than any issue we've got going, because it will determine the elections that we have coming up in mid-February, early voting, and then March 5th will determine which way Texas goes. And let me explain really quickly. We have a bifurcated system in Texas, legal system. Half the cases are, the civil cases go over to the Texas Supreme Court on file appeal. Other cases, the criminal cases, go to the Court of Criminal Appeals on file appeal. So there's no appeal right from the Court of Criminal Appeals. Well, George Soros figured this out. And he came into Texas and he got Democratic DAs elected and liberal Democratic DAs in the bigger counties, like where Austin is and Houston and Barrett. So none of those DAs are really interested in prosecuting crime, including voter fraud. So the other person that can prosecute voter fraud is the Attorney General of Texas. That was granted by the legislature in 1951. We've done thousands of cases. As a matter of fact, when the Court of Criminal Appeals came in 2 years ago, 2 days after the filing deadline to run against the 3 members that were up, I was prosecuting about 900 cases of voter fraud. So the narrative that there's no voter fraud, we had lots of voter fraud, and we didn't have enough people to do it. We had 4 people doing it. And so this was going on. They came in out of the blue after 71 years of precedent. They overruled their own precedent of thousands of cases. And I don't know how many judges agreeing that this was good practice. And they overruled the legislature and they overruled the Constitution and said no longer can the Attorney General prosecute voter fraud. And so right now we're trying to unelect 3 of the members of the Court of Criminal Appeals with 3 challengers. And I want to name their name because it's super important that people vote, because people don't know who's on the Court of Criminal Appeals. And that's how George Soros has accomplished this. And their names are Gina Parker, Lee Finley, and David Shank. And that's, again, I'm going to repeat it: Gina Parker, Lee Finley, and David Shank. And then there's a Supreme Court Justice, John Devine, that same group is going after. We want to make sure that he gets reelected. So those races are more important than any races I've ever worked on in my life.